ABC 7 News at 6, live on the road in Machias, presented by 103 Main Gift Shop and Barron View Golf Course. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for ABC 7 News at 6 live on the road. We are here in Machias, and boy, is there a lot of action right now. We are in the midst of a historical reenactment of a skirmish from the Revolutionary War, at the beginning of that war, known as Eddie's Rebellion. It happened right here years and years and years ago, and it is being reenacted as we speak. Now, we're going to have a lot more about the history of Eddie's Rebellion, the reenactment going on here, and the Battle of Margaretta, which is the backdrop for the Margaretta Festival. But for right now, we do have some other headlines to get to. And speaking of freedom and democracy, we do have election results overnight. We got those in for the Democratic and Republican gubernatorial primaries, along with Congressional District 2. Now, we officially know it will be Republican Bobby Charles, Democrat Hannah Pingree, and Rick Bennett on the independent side, vying for the Blaine House. Meanwhile, Matt Dunlap will be up against former Governor Paul LePage from Maine's 2nd Congressional District. LePage ran unopposed during that Republican primary for CD2. The final results coming in around 2 o'clock this morning after a little over 5 full days of ranked choice tabulations. And for more results and information, you can visit this story on our website. That is, of course, foxbangor.com, and the rebels and British are facing off as we speak. Now that the winners have been chosen, all of the gubernatorial candidates made appearances today to thank voters and discuss where they stand as the work now gets going and lies ahead.
This campaign is about housing that allows young people to actually stay here in the state of Maine. Right, Mr. Speaker? Yes. This is about health care that we can afford, no matter what corner of Maine you're in. Again, whether you're in a rural hospital in Holton or urgent care in Portland. It is about Maine's potential, a real future for our kids.
But people are angry. They want solutions. And that's the reason I'm standing here in front of you. I've never run for anything in my life. I'm just like you. I'm just like you in the sense that I am sick and tired of all the things we're putting up with, in my view, a betrayal of trust and a betrayal of integrity.
We have Hannah Pingree, who I respect, but she's a continuation of the Mills administration, was really second in command of the Mills administration. Bobby Charles is, has spent most of his life in the bureaucracy in Washington and then lobbying for corporate interests in Washington. So I think that when people see my background of commitment to this state, experience both in solving problems in the public sector and leading in the public sector, as well as creating jobs and growing businesses in the private sector here in Maine, the choice will be.
In other news tonight, 2 people have been arrested after a shooting on a trail in Bangor. Just after 11:30 p.m. on June 15th, Bangor police officers responded to a 911 call made from Talbot Trail on Stillwater Ave. Detective Lieutenant Brent Bollier says the caller reported a man had been shot by an unknown assailant who had fled the scene. Bollier says after arriving, officers found a man with several gunshot wounds. He was taken to a local hospital for treatment. According to Bollier, the victim told police he was walking on the trail when an unknown man allegedly approached him, briefly talked to him before he began firing. Detectives searched a residence at 17 Stillwater Avenue on June 17th. Bollier says they arrested 38-year-old Justin Grover of Bangor and charged him with possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. 35-year-old Christina Hart of Bangor also arrested. Hart is charged with obstruction of government administration, disorderly conduct, and refusing to submit to arrest. Bollier says the incident is still under investigation and more charges in that case are expected. Meanwhile, the Maine Marine Patrol is investigating a fatality that occurred Thursday when a crew member fell off a fishing vessel. It happened in Hurricane Sound near Vinyl Haven. The deceased has been identified as 57-year-old Marshall Ames of North Haven. The Marine Patrol says the distress call came over VHF radio about 4:45 p.m. yesterday that a man had fallen overboard from the fishing vessel Long Faces. A Good Samaritan began CPR while transporting Ames to shore, where he was unfortunately pronounced dead. The Marine Patrol contacted the captain of the boat, 39-year-old Jeffrey Barrett, and they say an altercation with Marine Patrol officers occurred at the dock during that investigation. Barrett is charged with assault, refusal to submit to a chemical test, and felony boating under the influence. Another crew member, 27-year-old Theodore Lane, is also charged with assault and disorderly conduct. Well, switching gears now, today marks the Juneteenth holiday, and an annual tradition in Brewer commemorated the end of slavery. Our Sam Miller has that story.
Brewer's Chamberlain Freedom Park holds an extraordinary amount of history, and Friday marked another chapter of an historic annual tradition. Around 11 a.m. Friday morning, people gathered in Brewer for its 22nd annual celebration of Juneteenth, one of the most important dates in U.S. history. Juneteenth, a combination of the date June 19th, marks a day in 1865 when Union troops marched to Galveston, Texas to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing the last remaining slaves in the country. The ceremony included comments from advocates and officials about remembering those who persevered through the brutality of slavery and the continuous pursuit of equality.
The world is in need of voices that remind people that there are people in the world that need your help. But most important of all is to let you know that you can make a difference. You have the ability to spread some love.
92-year-old James Varner of the Maine Human Rights Coalition has lived through some of the nation's most important moments, including the March on Washington, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. Varner says equality is as simple as spreading kindness to everyone you meet.
Any human being that you see is your brother or your sister. And just treat them like you want to be treated. That's a simple thing.
Juneteenth has been recognized as a federal holiday since 2021, and local historian David Payne says celebrating this day brings people together through awareness and support.
To see gatherings like this of different ethnicities and cultures to come together, it really helps acknowledge and embellish everything, within myself that, pushing forward and having that support is really a developmental site for me and for everyone around.
The ceremony concluded with a wreath hanging next to the North to Freedom statue on State Street. In Brewer, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
On a related note, in 2021, Governor Mills signed LD 183, an act to establish Juneteenth as a paid state holiday, and today she commemorated the Juneteenth holiday in a statement saying, quote, "On this Juneteenth, in America's 250th year, may we be reminded that the freedom promised in our founding documents was for generations of Black Americans shamefully denied. Throughout our history, our nation has moved closer to its highest ideals only when Americans have stood up to advance the cause of freedom and equality, including the thousands of Maine people who gave their lives to rid our nation of slavery and preserve the Union," end quote. Well, switching gears now to effectively fight wildfires here in Maine and other parts of the country, firefighters, of course, have to go through some training. Those with ambitions to help others went through just that today in Augusta. Maine Forest Service's Wildland Firefighter Field Exercise provided students an opportunity to practice wildfire suppression tactics using hand tools and water pumps, as well as fire shelter deployment techniques. Officials say the course is a requirement for those pursuing National Wildland Firefighting qualifications.
Everyone here loves fighting fire, so we're all here for the same reason, to get the card or renew the red card and go fight more.
I work for Kennebec County Emergency Management Agency. It's a benefit to know about what they're doing.
Wildfire is a very dangerous environment to be in, and being a wildfire firefighter can be very dangerous too. So this course properly teaches how to be safe in that environment and how to do the job effectively and get home as well.
Today's training was held at the Maine Forest Service Southern Region headquarters in Augusta. And folks, as you can see, it is a gorgeous day outside. Mother Nature definitely cooperating for this historical reenactment here at the Margaretta Festival. Good news for the folks who took part and the many, many folks to my left who are watching Eddie's Rebellion down the hill. You could hear the cannon fire throughout the early part of our newscast. Let's pause now for a first check of our forecast.
All right, thank you. We made it. The holiday weekend is here. Don't forget Father's Day on Sunday. Also, the first day of summer on Sunday. Temperature-wise, though, a bit cool for now, with highs back in the low 70s today. Pretty much the average high about 75, 76. We'll likely get there next week, just not for today or for tomorrow, probably for Sunday either. All right, the wind all over the place today, basically around 5 to 10 miles per hour. It got a little breezy for a while, but that wind will go calm for a couple hours tonight, and that could give us some dense fog late tonight. There are a couple showers out there now, nothing strong or severe in here, but this will rotate through the area tonight, keeping that chance for a shower in the forecast tonight, and then again throughout the day tomorrow, and a better chance for rain getting in here on Sunday. Part of this system and that system there will likely bring us probably a soaking rainfall on Sunday afternoon. Our forecast then for tonight, though, is mostly cloudy skies, partly cloudy skies, a couple of sprinkles out there, and some dense fog. Your full forecast is coming up.
Be telling us more about what's going on here and the festival itself. Stay with us.
On the Road, broadcasting the news at 6, live from Machias, is brought to you by River's Edge Drive-In, serving local fresh seafood, hamburgers, various delicious ice creams with fantastic customer service. Rose Bike Shop is Orono's premier full-service bike shop, sales and service for all riders. Bold Coast Coffee House in East Machias provides freshly roasted coffee, lattes and mocha, fresh donuts and popovers, all with cozy charm.
Maine's rural hospitals are struggling, but Senator Susan Collins came to the rescue, delivering critical federal funding for upgraded facilities and life-saving diagnostic equipment. Susan Collins does her job, and our hospitals benefited. Call and thank her for delivering for Maine.
Chevy Silverado drivers will do a lot in the next 5 years. For their families, for their communities. But here's one thing they won't do: pay interest on their new truck. Just announced. For a limited time, get 0% financing for 5 years on all 2026 Silverado 1500 models. Take on new adventures, make new memories, and leave the interest behind.
Visit your Maine Chevy dealers.
Oh, look at our kitty.
Brand name scrubs and Dansko footwear. Style and comfort at work. Miller's Workshop, for brands that work. Don't miss the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend at the Cross Insurance Center. Browse the largest display of hot tubs, cold therapy tubs, swim spas, and saunas in the region, with over 50 spas at up to 50% off this weekend at the Cross Insurance Center. Visit hottubshow.com.
Graham Plattner blamed women for getting raped. Who says something like that?
Plattner said women should take some responsibility for themselves and not get so effed up they wind up having sex with someone they don't mean to. What's wrong with this guy?
Plattner said to avoid rape, women should act like an adult for F's sake. He's an awful person.
Graham Plattner is dangerous.
I would never vote for Graham Plattner.
Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Cancer affects everyone, but there is hope at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center's Champion the Cure Challenge, where every dollar raised helps patients in our own backyard. Make a difference. Walk, run, or cycle August 15th in Brewer. Visit ctcchallenge.org.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back in, everyone. We are joined by Michelle Stanhope, who is clearly a reenactor herself, but also a local historian and one of the folks who helped put this reenactment together. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
So first and foremost, let's address what's going on. This is a reenactment of Eddie's Rebellion at the beginning of the Revolutionary War. Tell us about that.
So Colonel Jonathan Eddy was in the Machias area in 1775.
after several attacks in the area after the Battle of the Margaretta, a group of Machias Patriots decided to take Fort Cumberland in Nova Scotia and basically try to make it the 14th colony of the United States.
Okay, and so what we're seeing now is a skirmish between the British and the rebels that was part of that. And then that's in the context of the Battle of the Margaretta, so let's remind folks what that is.
So the Battle of Margaretta happened on June 12, 1775. The British came in, basically demanded us to supply them with lumber. The townsfolk took a vote and said, no, we're not putting up with your stuff anymore, and we're not going to supply Boston with lumber.
All right. So they attacked the Margaretta and successfully seized it.
Seized it. It was actually floated up Middle River Park, which you can probably see, and it was hidden in the woods far up in the river.
And finally, I do want to address the fact that, you know, for so many people in this community and folks helping with the reenactment today, yourself included, you are descendants of the people who fought that battle.
Yes.
What is that like to watch this reenactment happen?
Well, actually, it's kind of a surreal experience to know that most of us are descendants of those people and that our forefathers actually all knew each other, and now we're all friends and basically family because many of us are related.
All right.
So it's a surreal experience.
And we know that the Margaretta Festival extends through tomorrow as well.
Yes.
There's information online about the festival and what to expect there.
It'll be 9 to 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay. Well, we thank you for joining us and shedding some light on this. We really appreciate this. This is an extraordinary event. We're glad to be here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, folks, we'll be right back with your full forecast.
Situated in Jonesboro on the coast of Maine lies Barren View Golf Course, a true links course that's a treat for golfers of all skill levels. We feature a driving range, putting green, practice sand trap, pro shop, and snack bar. Open 7 days a week. Please call ahead for a tee time. On the Road, broadcasting the news at 6, live from Machias, is brought to you by 103 Main, right in the heart of Machias. Gifts, sweet treats, local favorites. Shop local and find something to smile about. Test your skills on a true links course situated in Jonesboro on the coast of Maine. Barren View Golf Course is a great treat for golfers of all levels. Top-notch detailing in Herman. Give me a call today to schedule your appointment. 232-2933.
As a doctor in rural Maine, we're already seeing the impact. Susan Collins voted to support Donald Trump on the largest Medicaid cut in history. Healthcare is getting even more expensive. People are losing coverage. Our hospitals are closing, and the worst is yet to come. But Susan Collins gave Trump a blank check for his war in Iran. Billions of dollars that we could use here in Maine. We need to tell Susan Collins to stop siding with Donald Trump. We can't afford it.
250 years ago, America found a reason to come together. Generation after generation, Phantom Fireworks has been part of that tradition. Phantom Fireworks, lighting up backyards of America from coast to coast. Visit fireworks.com for a retail location near you.
Situated in Jonesboro on the coast of Maine lies Barren View Golf Course, a true links course that's a treat for golfers of all skill levels. We feature a driving range, putting green, practice sand trap, pro shop, and snack bar. Open 7 days a week. Please call ahead for a tee time.
Welcome back in, folks. Tomorrow is the big day. Baseball and softball state title games will take place and champions will be crowned. The Hamden Academy softball team has their sights setting on becoming one of those teams. Hamden entered the Class A North playoffs as the 5 seed and played as the underdog in each of their 3 postseason games on the road to the state title. Hamden defeated number 4 Edward Little, number 1 Oxford Hills, and number 2 Lewiston, and this Saturday marks the program's first ever appearance in the state title game, something the Broncos are proud to be a part of.
Everyone's super excited. This was never something that we thought about at the beginning of the year, but just as we've worked harder and harder throughout the year, we always knew we could get here. And we're just so excited to have this opportunity.
My freshman, sophomore, and junior year, we made the playoffs every year, but we've been beat out. So it's like we've been waiting for this, and I've like really always wanted this for the team and always had faith that we could get there.
We wish the best of luck to the Broncos. Let's take a look now at the schedule for the games tomorrow, starting with baseball. It'll be in Class A, Bangor versus Gorham. That's in Augusta at 1 p.m. For Class B, it's Coney versus Fryeburg Academy over there in Standish at 4:30 p.m. The Class C state title is between Washington Academy and Monmouth, and that will be played in Bangor at Mansfield Stadium at 1 p.m. And then Class D is Fort Fairfield versus Telstar over in Standish at 1 p.m. Now taking a look over at the softball, it is Class A, Hamden Academy versus Cheverus. We just talked about that one. That's in Auburn at 1 p.m. Class B, Gardner versus Madomic at Standish at 12:30 p.m. Class C is Bucksport versus Dirigo in Brewer at 1 p.m. And Class D, it's PVHS versus North Yarmouth Academy in Portland at 12:30. That is all the time we have for sports. Here's your full 5-day forecast.
All right, thank you. Let's start here. High temperatures today, basically hanging out near 70. That's not normal. Average highs, mid-70s, upper 70s, but we're going to get warmer next week, just not this weekend, with high temperatures near 70 or so. Much of the country getting warmer now, but pretty much below average, where average highs, of course, here in mid to late June are rather high. Much of the north here hanging out in the 60s and 70s. We will get those some upper 70s, most likely in the forecast for us later on next week. Until then, though, kind of breezy out there today. A northwest wind gusting near 25 miles per hour. This will actually go calm for a couple hours tonight, and that could mean some dense fog after midnight. Right now, though, the wind is all over the place, out of the north, out of the west, out of the south as well. This will generally go calm after midnight with winds near 5 miles per hour throughout tomorrow morning. So the waves out there now basically 3 to 4 feet, but they're likely going to build a bit tomorrow. There is a small craft advisory out here through tomorrow morning or so. Wave heights approaching 4 to 5 feet or so, likely into about midday on Saturday. Until then, though, the primary concern here first off is the chance for some dense fog tonight, likely well after midnight, probably 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. If you're out driving then, please be careful with that dense fog in the area. All right, so scattered sprinkles are in the area now, likely lingering through at least tomorrow morning, and then below average temperatures through the weekend into early parts of next week, and then rain, a pretty good chance on Sunday now. Of course, Sunday is Father's Day and the first day of summer. Soaking rainfall pretty much in the cards now for us on Sunday afternoon. There could be a couple of thunderstorms in there as well, likely non-severe, especially on Sunday afternoon. But again, it's still a couple of days away. Just make plans for that, please, over the weekend. Out there now, a couple of sprinkles and light showers in the area. Nothing heavy. These will stay with us, though, for a while tonight into tomorrow morning. Then we'll get a break in the action tomorrow evening. But there's more over here to the west, right? A pretty active pattern right now. We'll bring our next system in here later on Sunday, and that one does have some more moisture with it and likely bringing some rainfall on Sunday afternoon. So future rainfall, I'm going to run this through Monday between the systems tonight and on Sunday. We're talking about probably a half-inch of rain for parts of the area, especially on Sunday afternoon. Our forecast then for tonight, though, is partly cloudy skies, a couple of sprinkles left over. The wind will go calm for a couple hours, so that could mean some dense fog late with low temperatures down near 54 for tomorrow. All right, so rain ends early, some sun in there as well. Highs back near 70, but there could be a late day sprinkle in there too. So overall, prepare for a shower tomorrow. Northwest breeze around 15 throughout the afternoon. Then looking ahead, your 5-day forecast shows some warmer temperatures, kind of. Here's Sunday, a good chance for rain, 72. Monday, a good chance for rain, 75. Mid-70s again on Tuesday, followed by upper 70s Wednesday, finally, without rain in the forecast on Wednesday afternoon.
We will be right back. Stay with us.
On the Road, broadcasting the news at 6, live from Machias, is brought to you by Coastal Auto Parts, your local Napa Auto Parts dealer with 30 locations, owned and operated by a Maine family that cares. Rose Bike Shop is Orono's premier full-service bike shop, sales and service for all riders. Walls TV Appliances and Home Furniture, family-owned for 57 years, providing knowledgeable, friendly service. Where would your home be without Walls?
Car accidents can be scary. It can feel like the whole world is crashing down around you. Hurt in a car accident, I'm on top of it. I'm your go-to guy.
Call 222-2222.
I was one of those kids that never knew what they wanted. Something hit me that, like, this was what I was meant to do. I wanted to take care of people. I would recommend taking a CNA program to anybody who wants to be in healthcare. You get to feel for all the different positions that you can do after being a CNA. When I hit my 1 year working here in September, I felt as though this was my place and I was ready to do anything and conquer anything that was thrown at me. It was really exciting for me because I had never felt that way about any other career.
Don't miss the Hot Tub and Swim Spa Blowout Expo this weekend at the Cross Insurance Center. Browse the largest display of hot tubs, cold therapy tubs, swim spas, and saunas in the region with over 50 spas and up to 50% off this weekend at the Cross Insurance Center. Visit hottubshow.com.
See the USA in your Chevrolet.
The best way to see the USA starts in a Chevy SUV with room for the whole family. Tech to bring everyone closer. Added peace of mind for every mile. And range to take you farther.
Get this low-mileage lease on this 2026 Chevrolet Equinox for around $329 per month. Visit your Maine Chevy dealers.
Maine may be a small state, but we face big challenges, and Senator Susan Collins delivers solutions. When our veterans were left out in the cold, Susan Collins secured $3.6 million to help end veteran homelessness. And Collins co-sponsored the bill to protect military spouses' survivor benefits and provide rural veterans access to VA facilities. With her dedication, Susan Collins secures victories time and again for our veterans. Tell Senator Susan Collins to keep championing solutions for Maine's veterans.
This is ABC 7 News at 6, live on the road in Machias, presented by 103 Main Gift Shop and Aaron View Golf Course. And now back here, more from Machias. Machias is rich with history, as we've seen, and some in town are working to keep its history alive for generations to come. And on a 94-acre plot of land off East Kennebec Road, work toward building the 1800s-style Machias Liberty Village has already begun. According to Machias Historical Society member Joe Dowling, it will be a reenactors village featuring a meeting house, a blacksmith shop, stables, and more.
A few years back, Gail Kraus, who is retired from the University of Maine at Machias, she donated 94 acres of land here with one caveat, that she could come cut a Christmas tree every year. So it was pretty easy for us to accept it.
Well, looking ahead, plans include building a Fort Foster replica and teaching classes on the land as well. Dowling says they're continuing to apply for grants while also receiving numerous community donations. And finally, when you think of the early days of the Revolutionary War, the battles of Lexington and Concord and Bunker Hill are, of course, typically top of mind. But in between those two monumental moments is the town of Machias and the Battle of the Margaretta. Our Doug Banks has more on that.
The Revolutionary War reenactors of Down East Maine are still making noise about one of Maine's loudest moments in history.
251 years later, here we are.
Prior to the outbreak of the war, the Machias townspeople frequently traded lumber for provisions with the British and merchant Ichabod Jones. But when the townspeople learned about the Battle of Lexington and Concord and Jones's request to turn their lumber into barracks for British troops in Boston, they refused, leading Jones and the Redcoats to sail from Boston to Machias in Jones's merchant vessels, the Unity and the Polly, and the armed schooner, the HMS Margaretta, in demand of the now prized lumber.
A lot of the townspeople got together in secret meeting places out in the woods at the Burnham Tavern, and they made a decision to capture the Margaretta.
In June 1775, the townspeople, led by Jeremiah O'Brien, took siege of the merchant sloops. Using the Unity and local vessel, the Falmouth Packet, they pursued the armed British schooner out of the Machias River and into the Machias Bay. After a fierce exchange of gunfire and hand grenades, the townspeople commandeered the Margaretta, in what is now highly regarded as the first naval battle of the Revolutionary War.
The Merchant Marines consider the battle that took place here the birth of the Merchant Marines.
The current whereabouts of the Margaretta is believed to be submerged in the mud of Sawyer Cove and Jonesport. But 251 years later, Down East reenactors continue to shine light on that infamous battle, even if the schooner O'Brien and those Machias townspeople seized never sees it again.
We do the reenactment so that we can bring that to light so it isn't something that's forgotten.
In Machias, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
That is going to do it for us, folks. Come out and enjoy the rest of the Margaretta Festival tomorrow, and thank you for watching.
David Muir, the most trusted, most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 4th year in a row.